trees.
Wait until they start cutting all the trees in the right of way.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Goffstown Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting of April 4th. If you would join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Goffstown Zoning Board is an elected board of 5 members and up to 5 alternates. Currently, the board has 5 members and 1 alternate, and if anyone is interested in serving on the ZBA, you can contact the Town Hall Zoning Office, or you can fill out an application online as well. The board has a posted agenda for each meeting and tends to follow the items in order. The board will open the public hearing on an application to receive testimony from the applicants, abutters, and affected parties, and to ask questions about the request. The public hearing will then be closed, and the board will enter into a deliberative session to discuss the merits of the request. For each application, the board will decide to approve with conditions, deny, or continue to a later meeting. You're welcome to watch the deliberation this evening, or you can contact Town Hall Zoning Office to get the results in the morning. For an applicant's request to be approved, please listen to this because it applies for this evening. For an applicant's request to be approved, there must be an affirmative vote of at least 3 members. An applicant can request a continuance if there's not a full 5-member board to act on an application. Tonight, we have 2 of our members who could not attend tonight, so we have a 4-member board. That means at least 3 of us would have to vote similarly, either for or against, for any motion to pass. You have the option of continuing your application to another time when we do have a full board present, if you prefer. And I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that. If you're aggrieved by a decision made by the ZBA tonight, you have the right to appeal to the Superior Court. However, before appealing to Superior Court, you must request a rehearing with this board to preserve your right to appeal. Rehearing requests must be filed within 30 days of the decision and state all reasons why the decision was unlawful or unreasonable. Failure to request a rehearing may forfeit your ability to appeal to Superior Court. And that I do ask that you silence your phones for the course of the meeting so they don't interrupt anything. And I'm going to ask the board and I am going to appoint Judy as a voting alternate. And I'm going to ask the board to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Judy.
Hi, my name's Judy. I'm a zoning board member.
Leonard Stewart, Vice Chairman.
Gail Brecht, Chair.
Alan Yaton, member.
Jack Shepherd, Building Inspector, Code Enforcement Officer, and Zone.
You're making when I do the minutes, you're making it hard.
I know.
Okay, so I appointed Judy as a voting alternate for tonight. Next on our agenda would be the approval of the minutes of March 7th. Do we have a motion
I motion
or
to-
corrections?
I don't have corrections. I motion to approve the minutes
Second.
for March 7th.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any against or abstaining? None, motion carries. Okay, so we'll go on to our first application. Do you guys want to go forward tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our first application is with Kathleen Ann and Sean Illick. Okay, thank you. Owners applicants seeking a variance to raise and rebuild an existing single-family home on a lot that doesn't meet the lot size requirement of 1 acre, and the proposed new house location will be 8 feet 6 inches from the side property line, whereas a 15-foot setback is required per section 4.3, Table of Dimensional Regulations of the Goffstown Zoning Ordinance. The property is located at 142 Elm Street, map 35, lot 52, zoned residential 1 and wetland surface water conservation district overlay. And I'm going to entertain a motion regarding regional impact, please.
I'll move no regional impact.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against or abstaining? Motion carries.
Madam Chair. Before we get into hearing the application, just for full disclosure, for the record, I'm well acquainted with both the applicants and Jim and Colleen Barnard, who are sitting back Ms. Illick was my daughter's best friend through, second grade through high school. We're very well acquainted, so I don't feel any problems with sitting on this application, but I just wanted a full disclosure in the record.
Thank you. Okay. Are you ready? You want to tell us about the application?
Sure. So good evening, my name is Joe Wickert, I'm a land surveyor, and we're working tonight with Kathleen and Sean for their property at 142 Elm Street. So this is one of the lots that butts up to Glen Lake. There was the Glen Lake Campers Association plan which created this lot back in the 60s. Very difficult plan, kind of unique lot lines, and over the years, there are multiple issues with the lot lines and improvements. And this specific property was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Barnard, who are Kathleen's parents and Sean's in-laws. They owned 142, 140, and I think it's 134. And so last year, when we were doing some they were going through and doing some estate planning, we did some surveys out there, and we found out that the actual, the bulkhead for the Barnard's property was actually over the lot line. And so we kind of tweaked the lot lines around to remove the encroachments. Kathleen and Sean bought the 142 property, and that is improved with a small one-story dwelling that sits up against the lake on the top of the hill. So they'd like to remove that. They have children. They'd like to continue to live in town, and but the house is too small for their needs, so they're looking to redo the house. And as part of that house, when we put that house on the lot, we can't comply with the current setbacks. So, you know, for reference, that you need an acre in size under the current rules, 150 foot of frontage. You have setbacks of front is 25, side is 15, and the rear is 30. And our lot is currently configured as 18,850, which was a slight increase from what it was previously. So we made it a hair bigger back in '22. So this lot obviously predates the current zoning and the requirements. And we also have the issue that prior to our 22 lot line adjustment, the lots and the houses predated the town ordinance for the 100-foot wetland setback. But because we adjusted the lot lines back in '22, we're now subject to the 100-foot water setback. So in most towns that don't have a 100-foot setback, we would have probably tried to cheat the house a little closer to the water to minimize some of the reduction in the side yard setbacks. But on this particular one, not a part of this application, we did actually set the house back into like 1.5 feet more from the water at the closest point and tried to angle it such that it fit in to the envelope as best as possible. And we'll be going to the planning board hopefully after this to address the issues on the water side. But as configured, we're looking for a 10-foot setback on the northeast corner of the new house. We're at 8.6 on the northwest corner, but that's to a deck, so it's not the actual structure. For the structure, we're 11.5 feet. We did show the reference to the old house on the left-hand view. And so currently, the closest point for the existing house to the lot line is 10.9 feet. Prior to that, I think it was about 2.5 feet. So we actually we had kind of increased it quite a bit in '22 to try to improve the configuration and allow for a little bit larger building envelope. So the application in front of the zoning board this evening is strictly to allow us to go to the next step and have reduced side yard setbacks, where your ordinance requires 15. We'd be looking for, I think it's 8.6 at the worst case, 10 and 11 and a half, so we'd have 3 counts of that, we'd have 3 counts of needing relief for those setbacks. You know, I think as part of this application and should we receive this variance and go forward to the planning board and get those, and get that application. So there would be a new septic system involved. I think that's an improvement for the area, and there's going to be some, as part of our shoreline process, we're going to end up having some drainage measures, either some dry wells at the end of the gutters or small rain ponds, rain gardens. So on one level, it's a fairly straightforward request, but there are some moving parts to it. It's certainly, we've done everything we could to try to improve the configuration of the lot by what we did last year. The house size, you know, it was looked at, and they've tried to reduce it as much as they could to allow for them and their family to live comfortably. We tried to set the house so it was, you know, sort of centered in. We weren't minimizing. We went with the 8.5 foot on the west side of the house strictly because that's Kathleen's parents, and we had their support, and we have a memo from them in our packet. And we also have a letter of support from the Foshers, who are in the audience this evening, who are the abutters on the other side, who are supportive of the request. You know, I think certainly that if you go through the counts that we need for a variance, that approving the variance wouldn't be contrary to the public interest. You know, this is a unique shaped lot, and any of the lots, if you look at the zoning map that we put into the packet, you can see that many of the lots in the surrounding neighborhoods are right up against the lot lines or have similar issues. So I think our 10-foot setback to the buildings is a fairly reasonable request. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, part of the application is they do have it's an attached garage, so the vehicles will be inside the garage, which we think is, you know, that's always better when you're next to a lake situation. So I think, you know, we went through and tried to illustrate why we believe the variance wasn't contrary to the public interest. I don't believe it's contrary to the spirit of the zoning ordinance. There's already a single-family residence there. We're proposing a single-family residence. We are slightly, if you go to the deck, we're slightly closer than what currently exists on one side, but the house as it's currently configured is, I think it's like 700 square feet, and there are 4 people trying to live in it, so it's a tight squeeze. Should we went forward and try to add on to the house, we were going to have similar counts, and we were actually going to be, you know, we'd have more issues because I guess there were some structural items that they looked at that decided it wasn't really wasn't worth trying to salvage the house to try to make the improvements. We think that the substantial justice would be done because it would allow us to build a new, larger, more efficient single-family house on the existing lot of record. Obviously, the relief, part of why the reason we need the relief is the odd lot configuration, which predates the current ordinance and subdivision regulations. You know, we can see no benefit to the public by denying of this variance request. So therefore, if the applicant were to have their request denied, that would be a substantial hardship to them. So we believe that because the loss to the applicant greatly outweighs the perceived public gain, that the variance should be approved. When you go to count 4 and you get into the proposed use would not diminish the surrounding property values, you know, the value of the new house is obviously going to be significantly higher than what currently exists. So our experience has been, if you build a new structure with a higher value, you don't reduce the value of the surrounding neighborhood. We did not provide a real estate letter stating that, but certainly if that were a concern for the board, we'd be willing to do so. And the last count is owing to the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in an unnecessary hardship because, this is not a lot you'd see a configuration of in today's world. They're much more conventionally shaped, so you'd have much less likely to have a situation that we currently have. And then the proposed use is a reasonable one. So we're proposing a single-family residence to replace an existing single-family residence. And single-family residents are allowed by right in the R1 zoning district. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or either Sean, Kathleen, or the Bernards, one of us would try, so.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions?
Curiosity, what's going to be the increase in square footage for the new proposed structure as versus the 750 on what's existing now?
Yeah, I think it should be, asking you, doesn't ask. I think it should be about 2,400 square feet because it's 2 floors. It'll be a living room and upstairs would be the bedrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I think your client has answered the question.
There you go, I was looking for it.
adequately.
Alan?
I just want to say we keep the water frontage clean too every year.
We'll get to that shortly.
Yeah.
Close into the front there.
Alan, do you have questions?
How important is that front porch? The one on the right-hand side of the front door? That
Yeah.
little roof. It's just a roof and a place to, I'm on a lake. I
Right.
don't know if I'm gonna sit out there with a lake in the backyard.
Right, I think it was,
It's a can design, I know that.
so, how important is it? I guess it would depend on, if you tell me we're not gonna get it, then we're gonna say it's less important. But, in our perfect world, we would prefer to keep it, but certainly if you had a set number you were looking at, we could look to reconfigure that part of it. I mean, the house itself is 11 and a half feet off the lot line, so that's actually a little bit further than the other side. We were just trying to balance that, the porch with the porch setback, so.
What are you gonna do with that hill?
So I think our intent is to try to remove approximately like 6 feet, I think it was. Because it humps up pretty good.
Oh, yes, it does.
So I think what we're looking to do is to sort of flatten that out to allow for the larger footprint of the new building.
Yep.
And so, we haven't set the finished grade of it yet, but, I think where the garage would be, it's probably gonna be somewhere around, probably more or less at grade, just because if you go out there, until you get to that point, it's actually a fairly flat lot, and then it kind of jumps up pretty good.
Yep.
So we're probably looking at the garage slab might be somewhere around 301, 302. So it goes as high as 310 on one side. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to cut everything, but it's gonna be built into the side of that, on the east side of that hill.
Okay.
Judy, you have questions?
No.
Lynn?
No, nothing further.
Alan?
At the moment, nothing further. I'd like to hear from the applicant or anybody in the audience.
Okay. Going to open the hearing to the public. If any of you have something to say, then I would ask that you come forward to this table, have a seat, introduce yourselves, and give us your input.
Come both, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have questions or you just want me to go?
Just, what do you want to add to what,
Well, I'm Kathleen Illich, and obviously this is what we would like to do, and we love to. I was born and raised here. My parents still live here. I still live here. We love to raise our family here. What else?
Yes, my name is Sir Jan Illich, and we really love Goffstown. I've been living here now for almost 8 years, and with our growing family, we have 2 kids now, and we currently live in about, like I said, 700 square foot, which is like a 2-car garage, size of a 2-car garage, with 2 kids, and we're a growing family, and it's very hard. We would love to be able to stay in Goffstown, have our kids go to school here. Her family's been here for 50 years. We would like to stay here another 50. And we would really like the opportunity to build our dream home. So when we do, the family gets, even bigger, or we don't have to move, we can stay and,
if your family gets any bigger, is a 2-bedroom house going to be big enough?
It's actually 3. I saw that paperwork.
It
It's
says
supposed
proposed 2-bedroom house.
No, it is 3 bedrooms in the plan.
Yeah,
I have
it's,
no problem with that.
Oh, I don't have problems with it. I was
Yeah.
just curious,
yeah,
it says
I saw that today on the, I was gonna bring that up. It's actually 3 bedrooms upstairs and then living area downstairs.
Okay,
Yep,
all right, thank you.
thank you.
Do any of the neighbors want to make any comments?
No, we just, we would like,
I need you to come to the microphone and tell us your names.
we would like for it to happen, as far as the setback on our side, as most of you know, there's a hill, so it's land that we would never use. It's gonna improve the lay of the land.
Your
By
name
them
again?
digging a hole, pardon?
Your name?
Michael Foshak, my wife Terry Foshak.
Hi.
Hello.
Did you just build a garage out front?
We
We
did.
did.
Yes. We
And
did.
there's a driveway, your house is down on the,
Our-
by the
yeah.
lake.
Right, you
Yes.
go around the garage and down the hill, and our
Yeah.
house is on the left, and
Okay.
Sean and Kathleen is up above.
Okay, what else?
So-
So basically by reconfiguring, it's gonna obviously improve the neighborhood, that's the reality, and by lowering the house, if anything, it's gonna improve the vision from the lake, because the house is gonna go down a little bit, instead of looking up and seeing a shack, we're gonna see a modern house, and, well, that's what it is, I mean, let's be serious. And-
Tell us
and,
like it is.
Ultimately, as a resident of Goffstown, it's gonna improve the tax base, that's really what it's all about. Making it something more viable to keep people to stay in this great town.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Not from me.
Thank you.
And do
Thank
you
you.
have any comments that you want to add? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm happy for them, and I hope that it gets approved, because
Okay,
it certainly is gonna, help their family situation, and
okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mom and Dad, do you want to say anything on the record? Am I going to regret this?
We know Jim as the strong and silent type.
I'm not a big talker, but anyways, but
Names
of course
first.
we want it to be approved,
Yep,
you know.
names
She was
first.
brought up there right
Names
next,
first,
because we live
Colleen.
next door.
Wait a minute.
Len knows.
Wait. Names first, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colleen Bonnet,
Okay.
and we're at 140 Elm Street.
And
James Bonnet.
thank you.
He's
Now you
been
can go
there
ahead.
53 years, and I've been there 37 years, so.
Wow.
What I like is being that hill coming down and being flat.
Or flatter.
Yeah,
You know
down
how many
level.
steps to climb up, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So you're in
And it's
favor of it?
old and
I
it
think it'd be a
needs,
big improvement.
yeah. It just needs the house, when I had moved out here, we did a lot of work, but we just inside the house, but the money we put in, then we thought we should have just, cleared it and redone.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, no, we enjoy the lake, and like I said, always picking up below. We're like coming to an inlet, and every tree that falls in the winter into the lake comes to us.
Firewood.
No, it's so waterlogged, it takes a lot to drag them out. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Joe, do you have anything else that you want to add to the presentation?
Nope, this is one of the easy ones. So usually I don't have all the abutter supporting us. So, but yeah, like I said, whatever the board is looking for, I think we could probably make to work. I think in regards to the septic, our concern was we have not finalized the design, but that lot's we're probably going to have some, for state septic purposes, we might be grandfathered to only a 2-bedroom. If we can make the lot loading work, we will certainly, but we need this and the other one before we get to that point to kind of finalize it and see what DES.
Does the board have any further questions? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing and we can enter deliberations. Who's going to start? And we have to remember that we need to make findings for each of the variance requests. I'm going to presume we don't need different findings for the setbacks. The setbacks could be lumped into one?
Correct.
Okay, and so just the setbacks in one, and then the lot size in the other.
Correct, it's less impervious.
Okay. I like the appearance.
Yeah, looks nice.
It does.
Kind of compliments the new garage next door.
We entertain a motion.
You guys ready for a motion, or do you have a
No.
discussion?
Well, just, so I think to do some comments, that this area is noted for narrow lots. All the structures are close to the property lines, on both sides.
I agree.
So, barring the fact they still have some other steps to do, septic and whatever. Are we sure that they have to go to the planning board?
Yes, they need relief from the outer 50-foot wetland buffer.
Only?
Is that all they,
That's all,
that's all they need?
Okay. And the only thing I see challenging is the grading on the site, that's it, and that's planning board, it's not our germane.
It's true.
Now, in town, we have buildings that are closer than 10 feet to each other. So I don't look at it as a fire and safety issue either.
I would just add to Alan's comment that I think as proposed and as staff comments noted, they've done a fairly good job of reducing the amount of nonconformity, given the fact that you've got a very old, very non-conforming structure on site in this plan. If that reduces the amount of nonconformity, I think that's something that we're always looking for, like I say.
So,
No.
if I could just ask a question, basically, at this point, are we approving,
I don't think there's been a motion yet.
yes, no, I'm just
No, but
asking,
is
yeah,
it-
I want a
Are we gonna
question.
have two motions
Wait.
or just one motion covering everything?
What would you recommend, Jack?
I would recommend the two motions. I would recommend the two.
We'll do it with two. Now, I read someplace. Now, what's the question you just asked? Jog my memory, because you said something and you triggered a
Yes,
thought.
I was just gonna ask about whether we should consider the 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom at this point?
No.
At this, no, not at this meeting. Okay, got it.
No, that wasn't,
Planning board and state,
Yeah.
and not our purview at all.
And the septic is not our purview?
No, it's the
No.
state.
State.
Okay, so we don't need to be Yep, got it.
You ready to make your motion?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Lynn.
I'll make a motion that we grant the variance requested under section 4.3 to adjust the various setbacks requested there.
I'll second the motion.
So we have the motion to approve the 3 counts of sideline setback nonconformities? Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, and we have the second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right?
Any against or abstaining? Motion carries. And for the lot size being 0.43 acres instead of 1 acre? Would
You
that,
want to continue, Len?
Yeah, I will move that we grant the variance for, requested variance for lot size for
0.3 acres?
3, whatever the numbers are, I'm searching for them here, but
1.43.
for .43
Versus 1.
versus the
1
1
acre.
acre required in the district.
Madam Chair? So was that like a staff comment that we needed that count? Because when we did the lot line adjustment in '22, we actually made the lots bigger, and Derek had said we didn't need a variance for lot size.
Well, it's in the application here. It's in the
I thought the
presentation
only
here.
counts I had listed were the 3 sidelines. I tried to do the water setback because I read the water setback as a zoning ordinance, and I was told that because it's the outer 50, that's not your
That-
purview, it's the planning board.
Right, but if you are, if you don't meet the lot size requirement of 1 acre, then it needs a variance to be that .43 that you're asking for.
Thank you.
I don't know what he was thinking. I'm not gonna say he's right or wrong, because I
Okay,
wouldn't.
that's fine.
You said it was Derek, I mean, he knows his stuff, so I,
So the question would be, I'm looking at this site plan, and it looks like the edge of water is not the property line.
No, we used the published elevation for Glen Lake, which actually sits further further away from the water line for most of the, well, certainly now, because last time I drove by, the water was still down. So we used the published elevation. That's where all our measurements are from. That's what DES lists as the reference line for their purposes.
So when I look at it, you're more than 100 feet away from the water with the house.
So I wouldn't disagree with you, but I'm going to lose at DES, so I just figure there's only certain battles I want to fight and certain I don't.
okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
They get it.
0.
Great.
Motion carries.
Don't get me going.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome. Have fun building that house.
Yes. Good luck on your building. Okay, the only other thing we would otherwise have on the agenda, and I would ask that you, hopefully you guys would consent, is that we postpone the election of chair and vice chair until next meeting when Denise and Jason can be here.
But you won the election.
I won the election. No, I didn't. He was reelected.
Yeah.
He
It's
was
his fault.
reelected.
Alan was reelected.
That was
Right.
reelected to this board. We're
Right.
talking about chair and vice chair.
Yeah, and so you were elected and you were elected, but now you're talking about what?
The chair position and the vice chair position.
They're
Which-
both
Which
coming
don't
up.
No,
which
no.
don't automatically come with
They
membership.
automatically
Len
get,
is running for office as chair. I'll make that motion right now.
I would prefer not to accept the nomination. I would prefer that we wait for a full board to make an election of officers.
You snooze, you lose.
Because of the rooster.
Um,
He's afraid of the rooster.
Just as a note, I ran into one obstacle in our town zoning ordinance this past week.
Pass it on to the planning board for when they redo the planning,
There's a paragraph in there that requires that anybody that has a home business has to notify the town that they have a home business in their home.
I read that too. I read
And so I checked on it today. There has never been one submission to the town, ever,
for what?
reference that paragraph.
Really?
And I checked with the assessor and Kathy, knowing the property's assessment would never change, is never considered if you have a home occupation.
Now, my home occupation is known because I had to fill out a lot of forms for the town for my
You're a
business.
public agency, you're a public entity, you have a license to operate that, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a whole different story. You have to deal with the fire department.
Yes, I do. And the building inspector,
that. Yes.
or health inspector, rather.
Is there any possible way you regional, adding the regional impact?
Oh, we didn't do that.
No.
Should we vote on regional impact for that application?
Say there's no regional impact.
Second.
Oh, no, we did already.
Did one.
Glenn and
We did it.
Ju-
We
Glenn
did
and
it.
Judy.
We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
I apologize.
There was
That's
the
okay.
only
I
thing
apologize
that-
for moving up with this.
Okay.
That's all right. If I don't write it
Yeah.
down, I forget it,
Yeah.
so,
And sometimes we have to remind her.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things is that you only come across these things when I'm reading it and I happen to hit that paragraph and said, oh my God, I gotta write a letter to town, so let me go find out what's going on.
Well, I brought up when I first started, I brought up the 4.8, and how the town adopted their own fines, where it's superseded by the state anyways, and it's easier for the RSA to jump in, 676 on the fines.
Can we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yep, can
Yep.
we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
You made the motion?
Mm-hmm. Alan seconded.
We're out of here.
Meeting is adjourned.